as they come back, and that they might sense that and experience it. Okay, I was thinking about what to do today, and I've shared this before, but September for me is more of a new year than January, because every year something different starts and seems to continue. Although Sam's going into year 13, which means this time next year he'll be hopefully, not hopefully, but hopefully for him, he'll be going off to uni somewhere. Alyssa's going into year 10, starting her GCSEs. Isaac's starting year 3 of his law degree. And Joshua is now living in London because he's moved down there because he's managing a bar in a 5-star restaurant in Mayfair. So if you want to pay £75 per person, he will give you a cocktail masterclass. But there you go, if you've got that much money to do that with. But anyway, September's always been kind of new. And of course, for us as a church family, we are transitioning into a life without Paul around. And so it's very much a new for us. And I think as we go through September, we're going to keep talking about just making that transition well. Because if you're going to start a new chapter and start something new, you've got to learn how to end one thing well so you can start something else well. Otherwise, you carry the old into the new and then it can spoil it. And so we're going to spend some time talking about it in different ways. But of course, in a couple of weeks, Derek will be with us and we'll be talking some more about that. But just we'll be talking about transitions, really, and how we transition well. And so we've already heard from the kids about what they're going to do in terms of this year. I was going to ask them, but I did it a bit differently. Let me just do this. So although, in one sense, in terms of the kids, I'm talking about a new school year, really all this stuff is just about any transition into anything. Which we do all the time, don't we? But I'm very aware that we as a family are transitioning into something new, into a new place we've not been before. And we're not going to hide that, and we're not going to shy away from it. We're going to talk about it, because it's important to do that. But Genesis 8:22, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, winter and summer, day and night shall not cease. And I suppose really what I take from this verse is we shouldn't be surprised if they change, because they're changing all the time. Change should not be a surprise. It should not be a shock. Perhaps the type of change is a surprise or a shock, but change happens all the time. And that's okay. There'll be ups and downs, beginnings, endings, joys and disappointments. The evidence around us in creation is that it always follows. Kids, I want you to have a think. First question, what was the best thing that happened last year? What was the best thing that happened last year? Last year. What was the best thing that happened? What was the most exciting thing or the best thing that you did? Was it the holiday you had? Yes, Dan. It can be, the weekend is this last year, so yeah, that can be included. Go for it. You went up the Eiffel Tower. Oh, that's pretty good. That's nice. That's the best thing. Fantastic. Love that. That's great. It's nice. Yes, Oscar Dosker? Climbing up the Eiffel Tower as well. Very good. Sorry, Holly? Going to Romania on holiday. Yes, you saw Grandma and all Mummy's family, didn't you? And you went on a plane for the first time as well. I remember. Fantastic. Yes. Go on, Micah. Oh, you went to the seaside, didn't you? Yes, fantastic. That's nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, because of course one of the things about transitioning is remembering all the good things. Because often when you go through a transition, it's easy to see the things that are difficult and painful, but it's really important that you remember the really good things. Because there were always good things. And it's very easy to perhaps see through different glasses and then forget what was wonderful and fantastic. And we have to make sure that we don't forget the excellent and the wonderful, even if a transition has been challenging. And so Genesis chapter 1, God says, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night. Let them be for signs and seasons, for days and years. So God speaks, God creates light. It gets divided up into time. And at the very beginning, God divides time into these specific parts. And you remember before, I've played around on the piano about timing and stuff, because music is not made as much by the notes as it is by the space between the notes. If you don't get the timing right, you just make a noise. But get the timing right, and you can make something absolutely beautiful. Sound can just be a noise, or with rhythm and meter, it can be what we call music, which of course is why we like holidays, why we like breaks. You ask the kids what they want, all of them said it was when they're on holiday. None of them said, well, it was when I was in so-and-so's class. But hey, whoever says, well, that day at work was the best thing of my week. Most of us, that's why you get paid, by the way. It's called compensation for doing it. Yes, Leon? I would. You would? Good man. Good man. I have to say, some of my best moments have been at work. But then again, I don't really work, do I? So I don't know what I do, but I wouldn't really call it work. But when Genesis talks about seasons, of course, it's about how we interact with time. The Hebrew for seasons is moedor, which means an appointed time. So there's this sense of it gets broken up into all these spaces, and there's time, and there's gaps, and there's rhythms, and that's why it's so key. God breaks it up into space and time. So I was going to say, what was the best thing you did in the holidays? But you've already told me what the best thing you did in the holidays, because that was the best thing you did all year. So I want you to think of this time, we'll do it backwards, the best thing you did in school last year. In a minute. Think about it. Best thing you did in school last year. And of course, this thing about time and space is all key, and the Sabbath and all that. Because God understood that life needed rhythm and rest and meter and pause and all that sort of stuff. And it is interesting, isn't it, that you ask the best thing in the year. And of course, they're saying what happened the last few weeks because they can't remember that far back. But at the same time, somehow it's those times of rest that we find the most exciting. So, but what was good that happened in school? Yes, Anton. Bubbles. Oh, you got to play with bubbles at nursery. That sounds good. Go on, Ollie. Getting your award. What did you get an award for, sweetheart? Trying your hardest. Good lad. You keep trying hard this year. Well done. Wow, did you? You're copying Mummy, who plays a flute in front of people. Lovely, nice. Well, keep practicing. You can be up here, missus. There you go. That got her excited. There you go. Keep practicing. Impress the boss. She'll let you up. I've not impressed her enough yet, which is why I don't come up, but that's all right. Mimi. Nell Bank up in Ilkley. Oh, fantastic. What did you do at Nell Bank? Did you do some walking, maybe? Den building. Oh, fantastic. That sounds good fun. Oscar? You were at Nell Bank as well. What was your favourite thing about Nell Bank? Well, you would if in the same class. Speak up, sweetheart. Finding the animals of the Gruffalo. Oh, that's exciting. Did you have to go hunt for them around the grounds? Oh, fantastic. That sounds good fun. Dan? 110 out of 110 on your maths. Well done, young man. That's amazing. Good lad. Well done. Well done. Fantastic. Okay, next question that you have to think about. How are you feeling about going back to school next week? Have a think about it. Okay, how are you feeling and why? If you can tell me why. Have a think. I'm going to talk a bit more, then you can think. So you've had a rest. Perhaps some of you are excited. Perhaps some of you are not very excited. Perhaps some of you would like to never go back. But how are you feeling about going back? Start with Oscar. You're looking forward to seeing your friends again. That's nice, darling. Wonderful. What are your friends called, darling? Great. Fantastic. Well, I hope you have lots of fun with them, sweetheart. Dan? Going to London. When did you get to go to London? Oh, quite soon. Oh, very good. What are you going to do in London? Wow. Well, you should just walk in the front door, say, hey up, and... Oh, fantastic. That sounds exciting. Yes, Leon. Oh, fantastic. Very good. Wonderful. Enjoy. I do enjoy a trip to London. Go on, Ollie. No. Yes, Ollie. Put your crisp in at the wrong time, didn't you, sunshine? You're looking forward to going back to school? Nice. Go on, Ariella. How are you feeling about going back?
She said earlier she was super excited about going back to school, and she thought she's got an exciting school trip, but she didn't know if it's a surprise.
Oh.
They do surprise school trips.
Oh, that sounds good fun. Mimi. To doing what, sweetheart? Your last nativity, is that because this is your last year in primary? Very good. Very good. I've lost count of how many BCS nativities I saw. Having all my children gone through primary. Okay, whereabouts are we? I love this quote from a writer called Frederick Buechner, which I've shared before. The extraordinary thing that is about to happen is matched only by the extraordinary moment just before it happens. And Buechner suggests there's a moment before the moment, and that's really important because in terms of transitioning into something, how you are and where you are before deeply affects how you get into something, which is why transition is really important. Because if you don't transition well out of something, you won't transition well into something. Because you will take all that stuff with you, and that can often spoil it. Which is why the moment before the moment can define the moment. Because how you enter something can determine how much you're able to enjoy that something that you're walking into. And of course, that works in terms of school, in terms of whether we've kind of those things that were really difficult, those things that were challenging, whether we've managed to talk about them and deal with them and do what we can. But in terms of us in our lives, in terms of us as a church life, if we don't navigate this transition well, we won't be able to enjoy all the really good stuff that's coming along our way. So it's why we have to spend some time just thinking about it, processing it, talking about it, because I want us to get into what God's got for us and be able to really enjoy it. I don't want anything to spoil it. But if we don't spend some time looking backwards and processing that, we will get into this new thing and then wonder why we're not really able to enjoy it very much. But that won't happen because we will transition well together. And often what has gone before hinders our ability to enter into new season with joy and awe, wonder, and excitement, which works on an annual, monthly, weekly, or even daily basis. What has gone before, if left unprocessed and undealt with, can very easily hinder what is coming up. And so I wanted to finish our time together, just in smaller groups. And I wanted us to take communion in those smaller groups. I wanted us to pray for each other in those smaller groups. And I wanted us to just share and pray for any transitions that are going on for any of us, whatever that might mean. So I know some of us have got new jobs. I know some of us have changed jobs. I know some of us are doing different things or going to different places. I know if you're a parent and your kids are going to a new class or a new school or nursery, that's all transition. It's all a challenge. I know some of us have redecorated a whole cafe and it opens in the next couple of days. So there's all sorts of different things going on. I know some of us are working out where to live. And so there's all sorts of, I know some of us are hoping to have an actual week off, aren't we, Nigel? So there's all sorts of things, and there's probably other things that I'm not even aware of, but I just thought it would be really lovely to spend a little bit of time, just simply, just in kind of smaller groups, maybe 5s or 6s, and I want you to grab some communion together. I just want you to do it as a 5 or a 6, in whatever way you feel is appropriate for you, 5 or 6, okay? You don't need me to lead communion. You are more than capable of being able to do that together, because it's about being around a table and sharing together. There is no right or wrong way. And the reason I want you to think about with communion going forward is because I want you to remember that whatever moment you walk into, you are not alone, because you are taking him with you into that moment. Some of us are getting ready to get married, aren't we, Tori and Tom? How many weeks is it? 7. There we go. 7 weeks. All sorts of new moments for all sorts of different people in different ways. And all sorts of... So, you can absolutely share whatever you would like, sweetheart.
I was just as Adam was talking, I was just reminded of a picture that I had when I was very blessed to have a couple of days at a worship conference, and in just some quiet time by myself, I just saw myself walking on this path, and as I was walking on this path, there were like tea-light candles on either side that I had lit as I was journeying on this path, and what I think about when I think about those little tea-light candles is when you go to a cathedral or a big church or somewhere, and you light a candle in remembrance or something or someone, and I was also reminded as well of in Scripture when they built altars to remember breakthroughs or triumphs or whatever it might be. So just that whole kind of thought process was there. But as I was walking on this path, literally every weather season was all happening at once. So there was sleet, there was snow, there was wind, there was bright sunshine, there was every season, every form of weather all going on at the same time as I'm walking on this path. And I was like, Lord, what is all of this? And as I kind of just rested in it and pondered on it more, I got to this place where I just felt the Lord was asking me a question: what season do you want to be in? And up until that point, I was just going with the seasons. I was influenced by everything that was going on, and it was heavy, it was intense, it was heavy and intense, and I couldn't really enjoy any of those seasons or those ways of weather. And so when the Lord said, what season do you want to be in? It was like, okay, I've, through every season, every moment, every significant thing that was painful or joyous or whatever, there was a mark of remembrance and an acknowledgement, and that, like what Adam's been talking about, a process of dealing with what was going on internally and externally, that then led me to this place of where I was able to enjoy, I was able to choose, I was able to form the future that I wanted, and enjoy the season that I wanted, and not just be subject to the season that I was thrown in and found myself in the mix of. And it was just so encouraging, and just as Adam was just sharing all those things, it was like, the moment before the moment really does define where you end up and how important it is in every season, in every moment, in every situation, no matter how big or small you might see it as being. There is an incredible importance to mark that and acknowledge it. And I've said to many people as well, of like, when there is a breakthrough in something, mark that as a celebration, as a moment as well to remember, whatever it might be, mark those things as well as the difficult things as well. So, that was something I was remembering.
Amen. Well done. Faye's going to be sharing more about that later in September, right, love? Yes, she is. One of the things we're going to do to help you in this transition is we are going to share our journey personally over the last 12 months and what we did to remain as healthy as we could through the whole journey, as well as sharing some other stuff as well. Because what God's done in our lives is beautiful. And you'll be encouraged. You'll be encouraged as we are encouraged. Okay, so, yeah. Let's get together in groups of maybe 6, something like that. Let's just kind of share any transition that's going on that you would like people to pray for. And maybe, yeah, I should have thought about this before, and we could have had it all played up already in things coming, but anyways. Yeah, grab something or... Yeah, I'll tell you what, yeah, if most of you get into groups, and we'll have a few people bring the stuff round. And then just take it in your group. You might want to do it first so you're not kind of sat with it all, but just use it as a reminder that he's with you and you were never alone.